What's up guys, it's Ben with Kame Trick, and Grant and I are back with our second installment in the What It's Like to Be a Car Guy in Japan collaboration video series that we are doing. In our first video in that series, we talked about some of the unexpected frustrations of doing that. This time, we're going to talk to you about some of the cool things, the fun stuff about being a car guy in Japan. Grant, who is currently living in Tokyo, is going to give you sort of the big city perspective. So that's going to apply to anybody who is living in or is considering living in Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Nagoya, those kind of places. And then when he wraps it up, I'm going to come in with a couple of sort of pieces of my insight from living in Kofu Yamanashi, which is considered inaka or countryside. And that's going to go for pretty much everybody else, because if you're coming to Japan to live through like an ALT program or through JET, it's somewhat probable that you're going to end up in sort of the mid-sized or the countryside area as opposed to the big cities. One other note, because I'm not in Japan, I don't have a whole lot of B-roll footage to accompany this, so I'm just doing a picture-in-picture. If you guys have any better suggestions for what we can do, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, we'll turn it over to Grant and get this rolling.
What's up, KT family? So, Grant in Japan, back again to continue where we left off last time. And as I mentioned before, there are admittedly certain parts of car life in Japan that are kind of a pain. But that's not what we're talking about today, because today we get to talk about the fun things. Why do you want a car here? Okay, as a matter of fact, let's be more specific. Why do you want a car in Tokyo? Because it's not the most car-friendly city, all things considered. Let's go through 3 reasons, just like we did 3 reasons for the not-so-good points of owning a car here. First thing, used car market is cheap and abundant. Admittedly, in the past few years, especially since the 90s cars started becoming legal for import to the US, the market is not as good as it once was. The days of $4,000 twin-turbo FD RX-7s are long gone and probably not coming back. However, that does not mean there are not good deals to be had. My own car. I have a 1996 Toyota Starlet Glanza V. Fantastic little 1.3-liter turbo. I adore it. And it has 110,000 kilometers, or 62 and change thousand miles. Completely stock. Full maintenance history, more paperwork than you can shake a stick at, and I paid $3,200 for it, which, yeah, I'm pretty happy. I apologize, I call it a 96, it's actually a 97. I cannot believe I just messed up my own car like that. Anyway, lots of good deals to be had, especially if you're willing to do a lot of looking, and if you don't have your heart completely and totally set on one model. You can absolutely find something that's a lot of fun, maybe more than you expect. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, why do you want a car in Japan? The roads here are beautiful. There are exceptions. I was out on some toge in Nagano recently, and they were sketchy. But as long as you're on a highway, as long as you're in a major city, the roads are incredibly smooth. Speed limits are low, but it's really nice driving in terms of what are you actually driving on. Point 3, why do you want a car here? Well, it's kind of the one we all know about. Japanese car culture is just amazing. Go out to Tatsumi or Daikoku, one of the big parking areas, on any Friday night, and you will see anything you can imagine. There are people who are into American muscle, Australian muscle, European, anything you can think of, from hypercars to touring sedans. My office is within 5 minutes walking distance of a Lamborghini dealership, a Bentley dealership, a Ferrari dealership, an Alpina dealership, a McLaren dealership. I mean, it just goes on and on. There is something for everyone here, and there's none of the hostility or infighting, really, that you get in the US car community, kind of between subcultures. So, it's just a really nice place to hang out with people. So, while there are definitely some downsides to trying to have a car in Japan, it takes a lot of effort and it takes a fair amount of money, you can get something really great for not much money in terms of the actual purchase price, The people here are fantastic, and it's just a really good place to drive in terms of what you're actually driving on, as strange as that may sound. Alright, so that's the next update from across the pond. Let me know what you guys want to hear about in the future, and I will also be working on getting a video of the Starlet itself out as soon as possible. Thanks a lot. I'll pass you guys back over to Ben now.
Thank you, Grant. Again, that's 3 reasons why it's awesome to own a car in Tokyo or the similar big city. Now for me, when I lived in Japan, I was a college student, so I had spent all of my money just getting there. I didn't have the opportunity to own a car when I was living in Japan. But I can tell you from my experience a couple of nice factors about owning a car out in the countryside of Japan. First up, cars are a lot more helpful in the countryside than they are in the big cities. So in the highly developed urban areas, you're going to see a lot of excellent train and subway coverage. That's not so out in the countryside. A lot of cities only have 1 or 2 train stops for the entire town. Way out in the sticks, you're only going to get 1 at best. And so if you don't have a car, that means you take the train to the middle of town, because the towns are sort of centered around those train stations that everybody can use. And then you're gonna have to walk or get a taxi, and it's just a hassle. But if you've got a car, it may take a little while, there may be road fees involved, tolls and stuff, but you'll be able to actually drive right up to the door of whatever you're trying to get to, and it quite literally unlocks a whole lot more of Japan for you to access. It's really cool. Second point, the toge is literally right outside your back door. It's really awesome. Even for me, when I lived in Kofu, Yamanashi, on Fridays and Saturday nights, I could go out onto my balcony in my apartment and actually listen and hear the guys running the toge. Now, this wasn't like 50, 60 cars like in Initial D. Not every single mountain has got like a car culture that's gonna go hit it up. And it is illegal. But there were a handful of guys that would run the mountains, and I could enjoy listening to them on the evenings, on some weekends, and of course, I did also get to go up on the mountain and stand in the gallery like in Initial D. It was only a handful of folks that were out there watching and a handful of people driving, but it was still just really authentic, really cool, awesome memories. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage because cameras back in the day were garbage, and I was not really supposed to film it. In addition to sharing my experience about being a car guy out in the countryside of Japan, I also want to give a shout out to my buddy Dustin with Excite Video Magazine. You can check out his channel, I'll put a link to it in the card, and you can probably also find him chiming in the comments below here in this video. He is living in Oita Prefecture, which is out in Kyushu, way the heck over there, but if you check out his content or any of the comments that he has on my video, they should be able to shed some light on what it's like to live out in the countryside of Japan and be into cars. He's currently building a 180SX project, so that's going to be really cool. Check his channel out, show him some love, and follow along. My third point for why it's awesome to have a car in Japan is the circuits and the tracks. First of all, if you've got a car, you can drive straight up to the circuit. If you're trying to even spectate an event and you're going by train, you're going to have a bad time because there's not any train stations right outside of the track. You're then going to have to make like a 15 to 30 minute car ride or taxi ride to even get there. Like if it's Ebisu, it's going to be a half hour from Nihonmatsu to Ebisu Circuit, or like maybe 15 minutes from Nirasaki City to Sportsline Yamanashi if you're going there. If you've got your car, you just roll straight up and it's great. The second great thing about the circuits is that they are way more affordable to actually road race or road drift your car than I feel like the circuits are in the States. Probably other countries as well. I don't know if it has to do with safety and liability differences or health insurance differences or what, but it is pretty affordable. The easiest example I can give, the most popular track for foreigners to hit up is Ebisu Circuit, and you can get a half day at Ebisu for like 35 bucks-ish, or a full day for about 55, and that gives you access to multiple courses. Those courses are, let me just grab something. Right, so the courses. This is a little bit of garage art of mine, but it's actually one of the badges that you put on your car when you're running at Ebisu, and it's just kind of something I enjoy thinking back on the last time that I was there. So this is an Ebisu Circuit 4-course drift pass. It's an afternoon pass, so this was 35 bucks roundabout, and it gives you access to these. So Kita course, Kurukuru Rando, School course, and Toge course. So that's going to be North course, Kuru Land 1 and 2, which are basically just skid pads where you can do some figure eights and kind of get the feel for your car, get your head in the zone before you go out on track. And if you're not used to driving right-hand drive, you can also get used to using the handbrake and shifting and things like that. School course, everybody knows school course, I think, and then toge course, and certainly everybody knows toge course. So it's great. You can get access to all of these different tracks, and I mean, I pay that much or more to get access to a single skid pad with a single layout a lot of the times, which is great, you know, not complaining. But in Japan, you get access to way more for your money, and it's just really cool to get to take your car to a real track. Anytime that you get to choose a real track over a skid pad, if your drift chops are pretty decent, I say hit up the real track. It just feels so awesome to get to do. Thank you all for watching. I hope that this has been informative and somewhat entertaining if you are interested in moving out to Japan, or if you're already in Japan, if you're considering buying a car. I recommend you do it. I hear it's awesome. All I've gotten to do is mess around with Ebisu cars, but the full car ownership picture and the scene in Japan looks marvelous. If I was still living there, I 100% would be into it. But I was into it when I was in college and had no money, so, you know, c'est la vie. If you have any additional questions that you'd like to see us cover, please let us know in the comments. Also, I will toss in down here some of the topics that we will be responding to that we've already gotten questions about in future videos. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, a comment, or sharing it with your friends. It really helps me out to grow my channel. And also, if you want to catch up on all the latest updates and not miss anything, please consider subscribing. Thank you guys very much. Have a good night. Peace.